computer, and the one out in the living room I can't even look at because that's what Johnny sets for his work, and it's like 10 minutes fast to everything else.
No. You've been like right on time. It's just
Yay!
once it starts recording, I guess the sound comes through, and so then it just goes kind of crazy on me. So I gotta try to mute it, but it won't let me do that in advance.
Oh, I understand. Well, that makes me feel better because as many as we've done of these, I'm still nervous. I'm like, oh gosh, I hope it comes out right.
I'm with you.
And I've never been brave enough to look it up to see what we look like, because I think, well, I don't know. I want to know.
I've checked it, Mel. It's running fine. It just, there's a delay.
Okay.
So I had to mute the YouTube because I was getting sound from both.
Yeah, so you had the same problem I usually have. Hi, Mike.
Like, Rain. Be like, she's answering a question from 20 minutes ago.
I saw Dave at the library earlier, so he said to send him a reminder if he wasn't logged in, so I'll go ahead and do that.
The box has been pretty full. It's pretty just steady filling of books and movies.
It's kind of alternated. Like one in Butler, I know there've been a few days where it's just been completely packed. And then there's been a couple days where I think one day there wasn't anything, and one day there was like two things. We're checking the one at the library twice a day now, though.
Oh yeah.
So we're able to keep it getting too full. Dave. I've not heard anything from Stacy April.
Okay,
So I don't know if we want to just go ahead and get started or.
I'm okay with that. It's actually 6:30 my time, so that's pretty good. All right, so I'll go ahead and call this June 15th meeting to order. Would like to thank everyone for attending. It is 6:30 my time. So do we have anything to add to our agenda?
No.
Okay. If we will just look over and see if we have an approval of the minutes from the May 18th board meeting. Do we
Okay,
have? I'm sorry?
can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I'll approve the minutes.
Okay. Did we have any questions or corrections for the minutes?
No, I don't think so, not from me.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The minutes are approved as written. Let's move on to our reports. For our treasurer's report, please.
Our starting balance on April 30th was $1,671,000 and $20. Sorry. Our income for May was $27,891. Our expenses for May were $82,784. A little over 41,000 of that was the building payment, our debt interest payment. Our ending balance on May 31st was $1,616,127.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the May check register and the financial report?
Make a motion.
Okay. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second it.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Let's move on to our librarian's report, please.
Okay. So first, we've got statistics and programs. I do want to let you all know we've got a couple new resources. We recently added Hoopla, just got that up and running 4 days ago. And since then, we've had 10 new patrons sign up for that. We're also doing Gale Legal Forms and Gale Business Entrepreneurship. So that's got a lot of resources for our local small businesses trying to stay up and running or get up and running. We did do 2 virtual programs this month and had a total of 112 attendees. And we've done 1 online program for June so far, and that's up on YouTube right now. Our summer reading, let's give you the information on that. So far, we've had 15 participants, and they reported that they've read 168 days so far. So we're doing it by days read this year. And we're working on a bunch of like take-home activity kits for people to be able to pick up at the library and take home and do. One thing that we're doing that's really cool, I think, this year with the summer reading program is a community art project. So we're going to have circles that people can pick up, decorate however they like, put it in their house, and just kind of get the community pulled together to where people are looking for those around the county. For maintenance, Williams Manufacturing installed sneeze guards at our circulation desk this afternoon. We also had JC Tree Service do several jobs with landscaping. And I think I kind of explained this a little poorly last month, so I do apologize. But the cost of the rock was actually just over $11,000. And doing that is actually going to save us $2,600 every year. So it's going to more than pay for itself within 5 years. Also, with the smaller rock, we had some issues with that getting stuck under our front doors and jamming the front doors. So with this larger rock, we're hoping that won't be an issue. The other portion of the amount that I gave you all last month, we had another one of the trees on the close to the cemetery line that was rotting and just slowly falling more and more. So we had that taken out. And then we replaced 11 dead bushes that were just around the property. So that was all included. They will be also fixing the bank in the front of the library where it's all kind of tore up, where the city fixed the water leak, but didn't really fix the lawn there. So they'll be doing that as well. For professional activities, Tanya has continued with the virtual youth meetings, and I've continued with the virtual directors meetings and the Pendleton County Community Wellness Coalition. Trish and Tanya both completed classes for their certification, both with A's, so congratulations to them on that. And then I have included in your packets what we're doing for COVID-19 for the drive-through service portion. So we started this last week. And last week we had a total of 78 people come through our drive-through. So this is something that we can keep running. If in the future they go back to saying the library has to close, we can keep this up and running with this procedure. So I won't go into any detail on that, but if you all have any questions, feel free to let me know. So we also, between the library and Three Rivers, we did a collaboration on educational resources on racial equality and social justice. So we have a bunch of these resources listed on our website, as well as links to books that we have available in the library and online. They've shared it also with the community through the Community Wellness Coalition. And then last for my report, I applied for the LSTA CARES Act grant. It's for us a $1,200 grant through KDLA. They pretty much said it's guaranteed, so I haven't heard back on it yet, but that's in process.
Okay. Do we have anything for the regional librarians report?
It pretty much just talks about the amount of funding that libraries are getting through E-rates, some of the new people that they have at KDLA, and then the news digest that they have on their website.
Okay, thank you. We can move on into our old business. Do we have any updates on the sale of our Highway 27 property?
We don't.
Okay, that's okay. All right, let's talk about the audit. Do we have a motion to accept the proposal price at $5,285 from Kraft? Is it Wagoner, Noble and Company?
Weininger.
Weininger, I'm so sorry, I apologize.
You're fine.
It's tiny print on this thing. For the fall 2019-20 annual audit.
Make a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and again, I apologize for that name.
You're all right.
All right, we'll move into our new business and our COVID-19 response.
Okay. So what we've got here is the governor released the reopening guidelines for libraries about 2 days before the day we were supposed to be able to open. Unfortunately, they were really geared towards museums. So what we were told is to take all of the different guidances for all of the building or businesses, types of businesses, depending upon what we do. So we fall under retail with books and things like that, lending out books. We fall under government as well because we are a government entity. We went through all of that guidance, the guidelines that KDLA sent to the government as well, and also got approval from the local health department on this plan. So what's presented here. We're hoping to do kind of a soft opening on Wednesday. We will have to do a limitation on occupancy, so that'll be 65 people in the library at any one time. Really shouldn't be an issue based on our average number of people coming into the library daily anyway, but we do have a way to track that. Staff, we are still going to have to keep limited to 50% of our staff in the library. For patron limitations, we're not doing the temperature or health checks. We're not requiring masks, though we are encouraging them. We're encouraging social distancing, hand washing, all through signage. And we're not, at this time, we're not going to do any time limits, but that may change if we see that we are reaching that 33% occupancy. We have cut off access to the water fountains, and we have removed most of the seating in the library. We're going to have a little bit of limited seating, but that was one of the requirements on the government end. We've cut off access to the kids' computers, all of the toys, exhibit areas, and the children's area, and really thinned out our computers. So we're only going to have 8 computers available. So we're going to cut back the time limit on that to 1 hour, and then we can always extend that if nobody's waiting. We are going to continue to encourage people to use our drive-through, and we're going to try starting this with 4 staff scheduled, just trying to maintain teams a little bit. And see how it goes. So we may have to be flexible with this, but we'll adapt as we go, and it'll be good. We are limiting our genealogy room to 1 person or family unit at a time. For staff assistance, we're able to go out and help with short things, computer help, help on the copier, things like that. But for our one-on-one tech assist or genealogy assist program that usually last about an hour, we're not going to be doing those. With the health department, the cutoff's kind of half an hour is how long before they start doing contact tracing on that. And then we are working on a plan to get the bookmobile going again for drop-off and pickup service. We'll continue quarantining returns. We're waiting on Battelle doing a study that actually determines how long the virus is alive on library materials specifically. So hopefully we may hear some first results from that in mid-June. Haven't heard anything yet. The health department really doesn't think it's probably an issue with having to quarantine, but just to play it safe for now, we'll continue with that. And we are going to continue accepting donations and continue the quarantine with that. They did say that doing the browsable book sale tables out in the library would be fine as well. So we'll be able to do that too. As far as browsing, it's pretty much just like grocery stores. We're putting the 6-foot markers down the aisles and just, trusting that people are going to social distance. And then magazines, newspapers. They can read those in-house, but there will be limited seating. Does that sound good to everyone? Are there any questions or concerns with any of this?
Is this on par pretty much with the surrounding counties? I mean, this is just us? I mean, this was not the statewide exactly. How's like Campbell, Kenton, Boone, how are they handle masking? Are they requiring or just recommending?
Everyone is only recommending.
Okay.
We were pretty much told that it to require somebody to come in with a mask, it could potentially have some legal issues if we're denying service as a public library
Right.
because somebody's refusing to wear a mask, right?
Right.
So we were pretty well advised from the state library just to go with a strong recommendation.
Okay. I think everything sounds fine. It sounds like you guys have a good plan in place.
Thank you.
I was actually at Kenton County today getting some stuff made, and I stopped and talked to them, and they're actually doing it a little bit more than us. They limited the chairs. They've even got their circulation. They've got it to where it looks like a Black Friday. They've got it marked off and everything. I mean, it's all pretty much the same.
I don't think we typically, I'm not in their libraries often. I've been in them a few times. I think we've kind of got the benefit of not being a super crowded library anyway. I mean, we're busy, but
Right.
we don't typically have huge amount, aside from programs, which obviously, are a different story, but a typical day to day, it's not like we typically just have troves of people aside from computer use, which obviously you guys have a plan in place for.
Yeah. So I know Kenton County's reached occupancy, I think only on their Erlanger branch. And for us with a daily average of 150 people coming in, I think we'll be really good with that. The only thing that some of the libraries are doing differently is, and it's kind of split half and half. Some are accepting donations and some are not. But other than that, pretty much everything else is in line with the other libraries around us.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I agree.
Mel, I do have a question. One thing that Kenton County was doing that I wanted to ask you about, they actually have a separate table when you walk in the door where all returns are put there. And she had asked us if we were going to do that, and I told her that I would check with you. Is that something that you want to do and have someone there to take that stuff and put it into the community room, or how do you want to work that?
We've got the table set up in the lobby. So we are going to have somebody there. We are still going to really encourage people to return their materials in the drop boxes and not bring those items in the library, just because that's going to help us streamline that quarantine process. But if, at the same time, if somebody lugged their stuff all the way up to the library, we don't want to say, hey, you got to walk all the way back up the drop box. So we will take them, but we really would rather people return materials to the drop boxes.
Okay. I think we're in agreement then that our COVID-19 response is a go. So we will go ahead and move on to our policy reviews.
All right. So here is the organization chart and classification and salaries. Again, the only change that's been made here is that we did bump up the genealogy and local history services up to classification 4 and classification 3. So we've discussed this in the past a couple times. So that's the only changes that have been made in either of these policies is that.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the circulation and collection development policies as they were presented?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We can move on to raises.
Okay. So what I've got here is basically just kind of a table of what other libraries do. You know, traditionally, like we discussed last month, we traditionally do a 3% raise. So that's cost of living and merit. So if you actually look at what's included in our policy, it's annual increases in salary recognized merit, increasing expertise over time, while also acknowledging the finite value of each position to the library. So it's not strictly just cost of living, it's also merit as well. A lot of libraries do across the board just a percentage raise. Some do a base percentage cost of living raise across the board, and then they'll have an additional percentage that's based on performance evaluation. Some libraries will do a cap on how much an employee can earn over time. So it would say, I think Campbell County does that, like 130% of your original base pay is all you will ever be able to make in that position. Some do a percentage based on number of years work, which on the very first page here, Bath County, they kind of do that. So I think that would probably be my recommendation if you all wanted to put something into policy and not just, you know, go at it year after year saying, you know, we want to do this across the board. Some do the adjustment with the new budget, which is what we do. Some do the adjustments on each employee's work anniversary, which, you know, I think there's a sound reasoning for that. Because if you have somebody who started 11 months ago and you have somebody who started 2 weeks ago and just happened to start right before the start of the new fiscal year, they're both going to get the same raise, which, you know, really kind of doesn't speak to time on the job. And then some have raises built into their policy, and some just determine it each year. So, you know, this is just kind of to give you an idea of what other libraries do. And if you want to change how we do it, then I can, you know, let me know and I can come back with something more formal.
I mean, I'm okay keeping it as is, but if you recommend a different, you know, I also kind of like the idea of doing it year by year, but somehow incorporating that anniversary date with it, where maybe we would make that determination every year at the time of budget and it would take effect on your anniversary date. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Right.
I like the yearly, but I know I think my pay is based on yearly, and sometimes it can be discouraging. You know, you have to wait 3 or 4 more years before you can get a raise. So it's like you can look around and say, you know, I can go here, go there, and make more money, or I can wait 2 or 3 more years to make more money. So it's one of them. It can very discourage you looking 3 years ahead or 2 years ahead and saying every year I had the chance to get a raise, or by my work performance I can get a raise from that. So I definitely see where it can benefit both ways. It benefits the library better for yearly, because that way, you know, it's easier for you to say, you know, get to this point and you're gonna get this money instead of every year trying to evaluate. But it does discourage you as when you look ahead and say, well, I'm only gonna make this amount of money until 3 more years, and then I'll get more. Then I gotta wait another 4 more years, and then I have to wait another 5 more years. And it just, the way people are working nowadays, they just change jobs so much that I can see them just jumping into another library all the time or somewhere else to work.
Well, and I think that's a really discouraging thing about placing a cap.
Yeah, I'm not.
you know,
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
feel comfortable
I don't
capping
really like
in
that
general.
number.
I don't like caps, and I kind of agree with him. Like, I don't know. I don't feel, unless you feel so strongly that this is something we need to, create a policy about, I'm okay doing year by year only because, things are also very uncertain for libraries in general before a pandemic. And I really think that gives us the opportunity every year to think thoughtfully and deliberately about our options and stuff like that. If that makes sense. I don't know.
It does.
I worry when the yearly thing is that you can lose a very good employee for really a no reason, and then you could keep a really not so good employee. Not saying there is those, but and they're making the same amount of money, every year for 3 years or 4 years, and that can discourage each other and say I'm working harder than the other person,
Right.
and I'm
I
pulling.
agree. I agree. I mean, I know because I'm a school employee too.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I look and they came out with the yearly pay thing, and I'm like, oh look, I don't get any
yeah,
raise, and it's gonna be
I
like
gotta
4
wait.
years before I'm eligible for a bump. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's why I think we don't need that policy unless there's a benefit that I'm just not seeing. I don't feel like our library needs that kind of policy right now.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. I kind of feel like it's not broke.
Yeah, same. Not broke. We don't need to fix it.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so I feel like we have a consensus then. Unless there's any other questions about it. Okay, then we will move on to our budget amendment.
Okay. So this will be the amendments for our official budget as posted on the DLG's website, the Department for Local Government. So the first column there is our initial budget. This is for this current year, not the upcoming year. Second column is previously approved amendments. The third column is the amendments and sorry.
That's okay.
The amendments and transfers. So this is to kind of get us down to, they want you to be within $1,000 of what you're actually bringing in or what you're actually spending. So most of these are down a little bit. Of course, service charges, just because we've been closed for so long. Other revenue, that's a big chunk of that is the literacy fair, which we didn't end up doing, so we didn't get that grant reimbursement for that. Interest earned, just because we've been getting the lower interest rate on the CDs that we just recently renewed, and then a little bit less than in taxes. For like our restricted funds. So what this shows is this is basically reversing anything that we previously said we would pull from reserves to cover expenses. So that was like the Library IQ personnel changes and the additional amount for the gravel project. We won't actually need to pull that money from our restricted funds. On the expense side, it would be a decrease on administration of $1,500. That's the spring conference that we would normally send some staff to was canceled. So that's a big chunk of that. Capital outlay, that was the amount that we had budgeted for the signage and shelving, which I would like to be able to carry into next year's budget. but it's just a matter of timing. We're not going to be able to get that invoice for that before the end of the year. Operations will likely stay right about the same. That service is exactly the same. And then personnel service will be a decrease of 9,000. And that's just because where we have been closed, we haven't had staff coming in to work extra hours and fill-in hours and all of that. The kind of next to last column there just tells you where we were actually at in our budget as of beginning of June. And so then what the difference is between where we were at and the amended budget. So as long as this all looks good and there's no questions, I would just need a motion to approve this so that I can report it to the DLG.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thank you. We will now move on to the budget for the 2021 year.
So this budget is based on the first version draft that I showed you all last month. It is, aside from the $5,000 that I'm asking to carry over into capital outlay, it is a purely even budget with what we have this year. No change whatsoever. So there's a few line items that have been decreased or increased, and all of the reasonings are provided here. And I would be happy to answer any concerns you all might have. You can approve it as is, or you can approve it with changes.
Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, do we want to go ahead and make a motion to approve it as it was presented to us?
I'll motion.
Okay, do we
Second.
have a, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thank you. I guess.
I'm
that-
sorry, who made the motion? I'm sorry.
Mike
Mike,
made
okay.
the motion.
I'm sorry.
Dave second.
Okay. I think Dave and Stacy both kind of jumped up at the same
Oh.
time of second, so.
That's okay. We're just enthusiastic. That's a good thing.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay. Well, I guess if there's nothing else that we need to discuss, then we can talk about our next meeting, which is scheduled for July 20th, 2020 at 6:30. Do we want to proceed that we will have it Zoom? Or do we want to go ahead and talk about the possibility of having it, in person? Are there any, questions, comments, thoughts?
Right now, our meeting room is packed full of tables and excess chairs, and you can hardly fit a person in there.
Okay, I am okay with that. Then we will just keep it to be held virtually as we are right now and as we have, the past two, if that's okay with everyone else.
That's fine
with
with
me.
me. I mean,
Okay.
obviously it's still a very fluid situation, so
Right.
I'm
right.
fine with this until it appears that, it's easy, convenient, and safe for us to meet otherwise.
Okay, I'm good with that too. All right, so we will keep it then July 20th at 6:30 via the Zoom that we do right now. So it is 7:07 my time. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
All right, I want to thank everyone for attending our meeting.
thank you.
Everybody have a good week.
You too.
Thank you.